Hey folks, David Frost, LazyGapTrader.com. In this video, we're talking about day trading. More specifically, we're talking about gap trading. Gap trading is by far the single most consistent and profitable day trading strategy across the markets today. You're looking at a chart of MGM. This was one of today's gap trades that was on my list that goes out to subscribers 30 minutes before the market opens. The stock closed yesterday at $29.50 and opened today at around $28. That qualifies for a morning gap trade. It's down, gapping down enough at the open where it qualifies, along with the type of stock it is, the characteristics of the stock, and these are all the things that are taught in my course at LazyGapTrader.com. We're going to take a closer look at this stock because there are some nuances here that I want to run through, and we're going to also look at another trade. But first, let's take a look at the email that goes out to subscribers at 9 o'clock, 30 minutes before the market opens. Now, as you can see, this morning's list contained a nice little basket of potential gap trades. And starting at the top, we have MGM, which we're going to take a closer look at in a moment. We had NGL, which did not hit its gap level. We had TRIP, which did hit its gap level, and we're going to take a close look to see exactly what happened on that trade. And then we had CAR, CF, and NTAP. None of those last three hit their levels. When we take a closer look at MGM, we say gap lower. Support levels are $27.01 and $26.41, and then even a third level I give at $25.10. Stop and profit target is about 25 to 40 cents. That's a minimum profit target. But note the first two levels, 27.01 and 26.41. We're going to take a closer look at those. On the other trade that hit its level, TripAdvisor, TRIP, support levels are $48.69 and $47.63. Stop and profit target is about 35 to 50 cents. Let's dig in and take a closer look at TRIP right now. Here we're on a 5-minute chart, and you can see the two levels that you just saw in the email as horizontal lines across the screen, 48.69 and 47.63. So when the stock opened, it immediately flushed down and through the 48.69 level, through the recommended stop loss limitation. So I was in the trade. I did get filled at the 48.69. I had my order loaded in the system, and I also got stopped out, and I took a 40-cent loss. And that happens. What I want to point out is a couple of things. Trading can be frustrating at times. It's not an easy business. I was completely prepared to buy TRIP again at 47.63, feeling comfortable that we were going to see a pretty substantial bounce. And what happened was, you can see on the screen, we saw a tremendous bounce over $50 a share. So had that occurred without getting stopped out, it would have been a tremendous gain. Although I did get stopped out, took a loss, saw it rip in front of my face, and obviously got frustrated. However, that's trading, but herein lies the silver lining. Here with gap trading, we have a system. It's a systematic approach to trading, and it's rather binary. And what that means is we have particular stocks that we trade based on certain characteristics. We only trade them when they're gapping higher or lower at the open. When they're gapping higher or lower at the open, we're able to calculate a specific price level that we're willing to trade. And we only trade at that price level. Now, we're never going to win 100% of the time. There's no trading methodology that can provide that guarantee. But we do win a majority of the time, and therefore, this is one of those times where you have to take a loss regardless of whether it worked out in front of our face or not. But a systematic approach says we can get into the next trade with confidence that the majority of them work out. That next trade we'll look at is MGM. Now, before we dissect MGM, because I think it's also an interesting case, I do want to make mention of the fact that in large part, trading is a confidence game. So when we enter a trade, because it's based on a specific methodology that we know is repeatable and consistent and that works a high percentage of the time, when we can trade with that level of confidence, every trade I enter, I'm 100% sure it's going to work out. But at the same time, I have a complete understanding that a certain percentage of the time, In this case, roughly 25% of the time, the trades will not work out. Those are the numbers as they stand. I'll take those odds any day. Why? Because I know where I'm wrong, I have a defined stop loss, and I'm out of the trade if it's not working immediately, and the amount of winners and the magnitude of winners far outweigh the losers. Let's get into MGM a little bit. Here's a 5-minute chart, and you can see the line at 27.01. Now, the stock came in twice just short of 27.01. Generally speaking, and part of what I teach in my course is, we normally wouldn't take this trade because the probabilities of this trade have changed for reasons I discuss in my course. However, if you remember from the email, there was another level about 60 cents lower that was a second level of support. That being the case, and I felt that MGM would get a bounce at one of these two levels, I took half a position that I would normally take at 27.01, completely prepared to take the second half of the position at the level of 26.41 and expected a bounce from that level if we should have traded lower. I don't do that a lot, but with levels close together, I will do that from time to time depending on the stock, the situation, the level of the gap, and the technical setup at the time. Getting to the meat and potatoes, as you can see, the stock had a tremendous bounce off the 27.01, just pierced through by a few pennies, making a low in this candle of 26.89, and just 15 minutes later was at a high of $27.86. That's a tremendous bounce in just a few minutes off of a $27 stock. Folks, you can learn this. I can teach you how to do this. Come over to check out the course at lazygaptrader.com. If you have the desire and the discipline to do so, you can make a full-time income trading the gaps. The course is chock full of information that you can utilize across other types of trading strategies that'll just provide a world of benefit. I'm David Frost, lazygaptrader.com. Thanks for tuning in, folks.